I never thought a Christmas gift could almost destroy my marriage. For 8 years, my wife Amanda and I built what I believed was an unshakable bond. Then came that fateful December evening when my sister-in-law Jessica handed me an Ancestry DNA kit with a smile that should have warned me. Something about the way she whispered to Amanda about family secrets sent a chill through me. Over the next weeks, I watched my wife grow distant, constantly studying old photos of me. I had no idea Jessica had been plotting to tear us apart, or that her plan would spectacularly backfire. Before I tell you how my sister-in-law's scheme blew up in her face, drop a comment telling me where you're watching from, and hit that subscribe button if family drama gets your attention. I am Kane Phillips, 35 years old, born and raised in Portland. Construction has been in my blood since I helped my father on job sites as a teenager. Now I run Phillips Construction, a company that specializes in eco-friendly residential builds across Oregon. Amanda and I met during my final year of college. She was studying architecture, and we connected over our shared passion for sustainable design. The moment I saw her sketching a passive solar home in the campus coffee shop, I knew she was something special. 8 years of marriage had brought us many blessings. A beautiful craftsman home we renovated together, successful careers, and a circle of loyal friends. The only shadow over our happiness was our struggle with infertility. For 3 years, we had been trying to conceive without success. Each negative pregnancy test hit Amanda hard, but somehow brought us closer as we comforted each other through the disappointment. We were considering adoption, looking at it as another adventure rather than a consolation prize. Through all our ups and downs, I always felt grateful that Amanda and I faced life as a united team. Jessica Mercer had been a thorn in my side since the day I met Amanda. 4 years older than my wife Jessica, had always positioned herself as the superior sister, more accomplished, more attractive, more deserving. From what Amanda told me about their childhood, Jessica treated every activity as a competition, from school grades to after-school activities. When Amanda received a scholarship to a prestigious architecture program, Jessica could barely mask her resentment at family gatherings. Jessica married Thomas Mercer 12 years ago, in what she constantly described as the wedding of the century. Thomas came from a wealthy family and worked as a financial advisor. They had their son Jackson 11 months after their wedding, and Jessica never missed an opportunity to showcase him as the perfect child, or remind Amanda how fulfilled she was as a mother. Every time we visited their sprawling suburban home, Jessica would find subtle ways to highlight what Amanda and I lacked. "I just cannot imagine not having a child to complete our family," she once said while pouring wine for Amanda, eyeing my wife's glass meaningfully. Some women just naturally take to motherhood, I suppose. The barbs were always wrapped in just enough plausible deniability that confronting her would make me look like the aggressor. Jessica started interfering in our relationship before Amanda and I even got engaged. She accidentally invited Amanda's ex-boyfriend to her birthday celebration, then engineered seating arrangements that placed him next to Amanda all evening. When Amanda announced our engagement, Jessica's first response was, "Are you absolutely sure? You have only known him for 18 months. Our wedding became her masterpiece of sabotage. As maid of honor, Jessica somehow lost Amanda's carefully selected jewelry the morning of the ceremony. The wedding toast she delivered included multiple references to how quickly we had decided to marry and how Amanda always leapt before looking. She even tried convincing the wedding coordinator to seat Amanda's former crush at our table during the reception. Despite all this, I maintained a polite facade for Amanda's sake. Family gatherings were tense but manageable as long as I kept conversations light and deflected Jessica's passive-aggressive comments with humor. Amanda appreciated my efforts, though I could see the pain in her eyes whenever her sister created uncomfortable situations. The Christmas gathering at Thomas and Jessica's house last year seemed typical at first. Their living room was excessively decorated with designer ornaments, and a 12-foot tree that Jessica mentioned 3 times had been featured in a local home magazine. Thomas mixed drinks with forced cheer, while Jackson played with his new gaming console in the corner. During dinner, Jessica clinked her crystal glass for attention. "Everyone, I have been reading about these fascinating genetic health testing services," she announced. "Did you know they can tell you about health risks hidden in your family line? With all the uncertainty in today's world, I think knowing exactly where we come from is so important. She disappeared into another room and returned with a stack of wrapped boxes. I got everyone a gift that keeps giving knowledge of your true heritage. Ancestry DNA kits for the whole family. As she handed one to me, her smile never reached her eyes. Kane, I am especially interested in your results. There are some traits in your appearance I have always wondered about. The comment seemed odd, but I thanked her politely. Throughout the evening, I noticed Jessica pulling Amanda aside repeatedly. Their hushed conversations would stop abruptly when I approached. Later that night, I caught Jessica saying something about genetic traits and family resemblance that made Amanda glance at me with a troubled expression. On the drive home, Amanda was unusually quiet. That night, she pulled out our photo albums and spent hours studying pictures of my parents and me as a child. When I asked what she was looking for, she quickly put them away and claimed she was feeling nostalgic. Something was wrong, and Jessica's fingerprints were all over it. 2 weeks after Christmas, my assistant mentioned that Jessica had called the office asking strangely specific questions about where I grew up and my family background. When I pressed for details, he seemed uncomfortable. She said something about helping Amanda research your family tree for an anniversary gift, but it felt weird, man. She wanted to know if you ever mentioned being adopted. That same week, I ran into our neighbors at the grocery store. They asked if everything was okay with my family situation, because Jessica had hinted at some complicated history during their book club meeting. At first, I thought she was referring to our fertility struggles, but their awkward expressions suggested something else entirely. Through a mutual friend, I learned that Jessica had been researching adoption records from the county where I was born. She had apparently told several people that she suspected I had fabricated parts of my background. The rumors were spreading like wildfire through our social circle. During a family dinner at my in-laws, Jessica casually mentioned an article about people discovering unexpected ancestry through DNA tests. Some people go their whole lives not knowing their true heritage, she said, staring directly at me. Can you imagine building relationships on such shaky foundations? Her implication was clear. She was suggesting I had somehow lied about who I was. The tension followed me home. Amanda began asking pointed questions about my childhood that she had never raised before. Did your parents ever mention anything unusual about your birth, any family secrets they might have kept from you? When I asked why she was suddenly interrogating me, she became defensive. One evening, I returned from work early to find Amanda in tears. When I tried to comfort her, she pulled away. Jessica showed me some things that do not make sense, Kane. There are inconsistencies in your family story that I cannot ignore. What inconsistencies? I demanded, feeling a surge of anger. Jessica has been trying to come between us since day one, and now you are listening to her conspiracy theories about me. She found newspaper records showing your father was away on military deployment during the time you would have been. Conceived, Amanda shot back. And your birth certificate has some unusual amendments. How do you explain that? I was speechless. My father had told me about his deployment being cut short when my mother discovered she was pregnant. I had never thought to question the timeline. As for my birth certificate, I had never examined it closely enough to notice anything unusual. Do you actually believe I have been lying to you for 8 years? I asked, my voice breaking. That I have some secret identity I have been hiding. The hurt in Amanda's eyes told me Jessica had done her work well. I do not know what to believe anymore, she whispered. That night we had the worst fight of our marriage. Words flew like daggers, as years of trust seemed to crumble. Amanda finally delivered her ultimatum through tears. If you have nothing to hide, just take the DNA test, prove Jessica wrong, and end this once and for all. My initial reaction was outrage at being asked to prove my identity to my own wife. But as I watched Amanda struggle with the doubt Jessica had planted, my anger transformed into determination. Fine, I agreed coldly. I will take the test. Not because I have anything to prove, but because I want you to see exactly how manipulative your sister is. The next day, I spat into the small tube and mailed my sample, feeling a strange mix of anger and vindication. According to the website, results would take about 3 weeks to process. Those became the longest 21 days of my life. Amanda and I moved around each other like strangers in our own home. I started sleeping in the spare room, unable to bear the suspicion in her eyes. Jessica visited almost daily, always with some new evidence or theory about my background. She brought old photos scrutinizing my features against those of my parents, pointing out supposed discrepancies in coloring or facial structure. "Your father has attached earlobes, but yours are detached," she told Amanda while I overheard from the hallway. "And look at these bone structures. Classic signs of different ethnic heritage than what he claims. I just want you to be prepared for what the test might reveal." I felt increasingly isolated as friends and family seemed to be watching me with new eyes, wondering if I was somehow an imposter in my own life. The loneliness was crushing. Each night I would lie awake wondering if my marriage could survive this ordeal. Jessica orchestrated her next move with calculating precision. During Sunday brunch with the extended family, she announced that Jackson would also take the DNA test. "We should make this a family activity," she declared. "Jackson is so excited to learn more about his genetic makeup, and it will give us something to compare your results to Kane." The 11-year-old looked anything but excited, but nodded obediently under his mother's gaze. Thomas seemed indifferent, scrolling through his phone as Jessica outlined her plans for a result reveal party once everyone's information came back. After brunch, I cornered Jessica in the kitchen. "What exactly are you trying to accomplish here?" I asked quietly. Her smile was glacial. "Just helping Amanda see the full picture. Everyone deserves to know who they are really married to." "And you think I am hiding something?" Jessica arranged dishes in the dishwasher with meticulous care. "The truth always comes out in DNA, Kane. You cannot hide your real identity forever." Her certainty chilled me. She truly believed she was about to expose some devastating secret about me, one that would destroy my marriage to her sister. As Jackson's sample went out in the mail, alongside those of other family members, I realized Jessica's plan was more elaborate than I had initially thought. She was setting up a direct comparison between my DNA and her son's, presumably to highlight differences that would prove I was not who I claimed to be. 3 weeks later, I was alone at home when the email notification arrived. "Your DNA results are ready to view proponents." The cheerful subject line seemed at odds with the weight this information now carried for my marriage. With trembling fingers, I logged into the account and opened my results. Relief washed over me immediately. The analysis showed exactly what I had always known. My genetic makeup matched perfectly with my known heritage. 52% Northern European, 27% Irish, 14% Scottish, and various smaller percentages that aligned with the family history I had grown up hearing. There were no surprises, no hidden secrets, nothing that contradicted anything I had ever told Amanda about my background. I immediately called Amanda, who was at her office. "The results are in," I told her. "Everything matches exactly what I have always told you. Will you come home so we can go through them together?" She arrived an hour later, cautious, but willing to look. As we scrolled through the detailed report, I could see her shoulders relaxing slightly. Still, the damage Jessica had done lingered. "It is good to see this," Amanda admitted, but Jessica said sometimes these tests do not show the full picture. She wants us to come to their house tomorrow when Jackson's results arrive. She says comparing family markers will tell us more. I swallowed my frustration. Fine. One more hoop to jump through, and then this ends. The next evening, we gathered at Jessica and Thomas's house for what Jessica had grandly termed a genetic heritage celebration. She had invited several family members supposedly to support Kane through his revelation. Her confidence that there would be a revelation was unwavering despite my normal test results. The atmosphere was tense as Jessica connected her laptop to their large television screen. "Jackson's results came in this morning, but I waited so we could all experience this together," she announced. "Now, we can compare Kane's results with Jackson's and see what family traits they share, or do not share." Jessica logged into the account while everyone watched uncomfortably. As the page loaded, Thomas moved closer to the screen, squinting at the information appearing. His face suddenly drained of color. He grabbed the laptop, turning it away from the others. "What does this mean?" he asked Jessica in a shaking voice that silenced the room. Jessica frowned, taking back the computer. What are you talking about? I am just getting to the family comparison section. She stopped mid-sentence, her eyes widening as they fixed on something on the screen. Why does it say Jackson has no genetic connection to me? Thomas demanded, his voice rising. It shows him as sharing DNA with you, but none with me. How is that possible, Jessica? The room fell deadly silent. Jessica's fingers flew across the keyboard, clicking through different sections of the results. This is a mistake, she stammered. These tests are not 100% accurate. There must be an error in the analysis. Thomas stood rigidly, his expression hardening. Is Jackson my son? He asked with deadly calm. Jessica's composure crumbled. Of course he is. How can you even ask that? This stupid test is wrong. But the panic in her eyes told a different story. Jackson, who had been playing a video game in the corner, looked up in confusion. Mom, Dad. What is wrong? Thomas turned to his son, or the boy he had believed was his son for 11 years. The anguish on his face was unbearable to witness. Jessica, he said, his voice dangerously quiet, now I need you to tell me the truth. Right now. In front of everyone. The relatives in attendance shifted uncomfortably. Amanda gripped my hand so tightly her nails dug into my palm. My vindication felt hollow in the face of the pain unfolding before us. It was one time Jessica finally whispered, tears streaming down her face. One mistake 12 years ago. My college boyfriend came to town the month before our wedding. We had drinks, talked about old times. It did not mean anything. Thomas staggered back as if physically struck. 11 years, he said hoarsely. 11 years raising another man's child without knowing. Planning for his college fund, teaching him to throw a baseball, all while you knew. I convinced myself it was yours, Jessica pleaded. The timing was so close, I thought. I wanted to believe. Jackson stood now, his video game forgotten. What are you saying? He asked, his young voice cracking. Dad is not my dad. The devastation on the boy's face was heartbreaking. Thomas moved toward him instinctively, then stopped, visibly struggling with his new reality. Without another word, he grabbed his car keys. Come on, Jackson. We are going for a drive. Where Jessica cried, reaching for her son. Anywhere but here, Thomas replied coldly. He and I need to talk. Alone. As they left shocked, family members began making hurried excuses to leave. Within minutes only, Amanda, Jessica, and I remained in the living room. Jessica collapsed onto the sofa, sobbing uncontrollably. This is your fault, she screamed at me suddenly. You must have tampered with the test somehow. You did this to destroy my family. Amanda stood up, towering over her sister. Stop it, Jessica. This is not Kane's fault. This is your doing. All of it. Jessica's tear-streaked face contorted with rage and humiliation. You always get everything, she spat at Amanda. The perfect husband, the perfect marriage. I could not stand watching you so happy while my marriage was falling apart. Thomas has been distant for years. I thought if Kane had secrets, if your marriage was not so perfect after all, maybe I would not feel like such a failure. The admission hung in the air. Jessica had tried to destroy our marriage out of pure jealousy, and instead had exposed her own devastating secret. Amanda looked at her sister with a mixture of pity and disgust. We are leaving now. When you are ready to apologize, really apologize, you can call me. Until then, I think we all need space. As we walked to our car, I felt the weight of weeks of suspicion finally lifting from my shoulders. Amanda squeezed my hand. I am so sorry I doubted you, she whispered. I should have known better. The fallout from Jessica's DNA scheme rippled through both families for months. Thomas filed for divorce within weeks, though he struggled with the legal complexities of his relationship with Jackson. Despite not being Jackson's biological father, he petitioned for shared custody, arguing that 11 years of parenting created a father-son bond that deserved legal protection. Jackson's world had been shattered overnight. The boy withdrew from activities he once enjoyed and began struggling in school. Despite everything Jessica had done, I could not help feeling sympathy for my nephew. None of this was his fault. I reached out to Jackson, inviting him to help with small projects in my workshop. At first, he was withdrawn and suspicious. Understandable given how adults had recently upended his life with secrets and lies. Gradually, through building birdhouses and small furniture pieces together, he began to open up. "Does DNA really decide who your family is?" he asked me one Saturday while sanding a bookshelf. I considered this carefully. DNA is just one part of family Jackson. Sometimes the strongest family bonds have nothing to do with genetics. Family is built through love, trust, and being there for each other through good times and bad. "Like you and Aunt Amanda," he observed quietly. "Like your dad Thomas and you," I corrected gently. "He chose to be your father every day for 11 years. That matters more than DNA ever could." The boy nodded slowly, absorbing this perspective. Those weekends in the workshop became a sanctuary for him, amid the chaos of the divorce proceedings. Meanwhile, Amanda and I were rebuilding our own relationship. The damage Jessica had caused ran deeper than either of us initially acknowledged. One night, Amanda broke down in tears. "I betrayed you," she said. "I let Jessica plant doubts about the one person who has never given me reason to doubt." "How can you forgive that so easily?" "Because I understand how manipulation works," I told her. "Jessica has been undermining your confidence since childhood. She knew exactly which buttons to push." Amanda straightened her shoulders, a new resolve in her eyes. "I will never let her come between us again. I have spent my life trying to earn Jessica's approval and avoid her jealousy. That ends now." True to her word, when Jessica called a week later with a tearful non-apology blaming the DNA test company for creating family drama, Amanda firmly established boundaries. "You need professional help, Jessica. Until you truly understand what you did wrong and make amends to everyone you hurt, especially Jackson and Thomas, we need to keep our distance." It was the first time I had ever seen Amanda stand firm against her sister's manipulation. Seeing her reclaim her power was one of the most beautiful aspects of this painful chapter. 6 months after the DNA test revelation, I agreed to meet Jessica at a neutral coffee shop. She looked different, humbler, less polished, with dark circles under her eyes. "Thomas is moving to Seattle with his new job," she said without preamble. "He is taking Jackson every other week. He found Jackson's biological father, but the man wants nothing to do with him. I have destroyed everything." "Not everything," I replied carefully. "Jackson is still your son. Thomas still loves him despite everything. You can rebuild from here, but it starts with honesty. With yourself most of all." Jessica nodded, tears streaming down her face. "I have started therapy. My therapist says I have narcissistic tendencies and pathological jealousy toward Amanda. I always measured my worth by competing with her. When you two stayed strong through infertility while my seemingly perfect marriage was crumbling, I wanted to prove no one could be that perfect. Forgiveness takes time," I told her. "I can forgive you for what you tried to do to me, but rebuilding trust with Amanda will take longer. And making things right with Thomas and Jackson might be the work of years." "I know," she whispered. I just hope someday they will understand I never meant for anyone to get hurt." I did not point out the irony of her statement. Intent and impact were two very different things. A lesson Jessica was learning the hardest possible way. The truth has a way of finding the light, though rarely in the ways we expect. Jessica's attempt to expose non-existent secrets in my past ended up revealing her own devastating deception. The DNA test, designed to break Amanda's trust in me, instead shattered the foundations of Jessica's carefully constructed facade. Our marriage emerged stronger from this ordeal. Amanda and I finally moved forward with adoption proceedings, more certain than ever that family bonds transcend genetics. Last month, we welcomed 4-year-old Sophia into our home, the daughter we had been waiting for all along. As for Jackson, he spends 1 weekend a month with us. The boy who loves building things with his hands might someday join Philip's construction. Thomas remains in his life as dad, proof that fatherhood is earned through love and presence, not determined by DNA. Has your family ever experienced a betrayal that ultimately led to healing or growth? Leave a comment below with your story. Sometimes, Sharing these painful experiences helps others feel less alone in their struggles. If this story resonated with you, please hit that subscribe button and share it with someone who might need to hear that even the most painful family secrets can eventually lead to healing. Thank you for listening, and remember, the families we build through love and choice are often stronger than those we are born into.